Okay, hi everybody. This is Jim. I'm a physical therapist here at the Pain PT, and we've got with us here today a gentleman named Dan, who I've been working with for a while, and I really wanted to share his story because I think it's so powerful, his recovery story, and I think it can help a lot of you guys out in your own recovery. So Dan, awesome. Thank you so much for coming on.
Pleasure. Absolute pleasure, because I know from personal experience how important these little chats and recovery-esque stories are. So yeah, no, I'm grateful to just be here. Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I think the best thing to do is just to have you start by sharing your story. Start in the beginning, tell me what happened to you, and then we'll kind of go from there and we just flow forward to where you are today.
Yeah, okay, great. So I'm over in the UK, as you can probably tell from my accent, over in sunny Suffolk in the UK. So the long and short of it is I've always been a fairly fit and active and motivated chap. Always played a lot of sport from childhood all through my teens, and as an adult as well, football, tennis and some martial arts and things. And that for me was always a way of letting off a bit of steam as much as anything else, as well as enjoying the competition of it and, you know, the sort of playing team sports and things. But to cut back to, it was the end of summer in 2018. And I got a shooting pain in my armpit here, just on this side. And it happened while I was in the shower. And my first reaction was, oh my gosh, I've been electrocuted in the shower. And then, of course, it dawned on me, well, I wasn't even in an electric shower. Our shower just runs off the tap. So I thought, well, that's nonsense. So I kind of just dismissed it, really, of thinking, well, that was a really random thing. But it was a real bolt, like I had been electrocuted.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that
injuries, right? It wasn't like an injury or anything.
No, nothing. I've always been fit and a clean bill of health. Yeah, no issues at all. The only thing that was possibly in the back of my mind was that I run my own business with my wife, and we run an ice cream kind of tea hut kiosk at the beach. And there's a lot of repetitive scooping ice cream. So I thought, well, maybe it's a trapped nerve, and it wasn't, you know. But again, the same thing happened again a few days later. Somewhere else, I think I was in the car, same thing, a really jolting, really painful. I thought, that doesn't feel very good. Anyway, we were coming to the end of our season at work, and I thought, you know what, we're off to Sicily for a few weeks in the sun, rest, respite, relax in the pool, on the beach. And I was expecting it to fade away and then not be an issue. And of course, whilst we were away, it became more and more frequent, and if possible a bit stronger, and they were lasting longer. So rather than a quick jolt, it was more of a sustained kind of attack, if you like. Yeah. Anyway, when we did come back from holiday, which was around sort of November time in 2018, I thought, well, I should go and check it out and see what's happening. I'd also, which is unlike me, I'd been having, I never remember any dreams I haven't done ever, really. And I kept having really vivid dreams about dying. Now that was, for me, that was like, that's really weird, because I don't worry about stuff or think about stuff like that at all. Anyway, went to see my GP. He said, I'm going to refer you to a specialist, a local neurologist. We'll get you some MRIs done. So met this doctor, neurologist at my local hospital at Ipswich, and had a chat, and he laid me down and hit me with the little hammers and everything, and test reflexes and everything else. And he said, I'm a little bit concerned about it. We'll get you booked in as soon as we can for the MRI scans. And of course, they came back, and I had a tumor inside my spinal cord, just between my shoulder blades at about T3, I think it is. And of course, I went back and he showed me, and he said, that's why, Mr. Cousins, you're in so much pain. And I said, right, okay. But I had no idea of the seriousness of it. And he said, this needs to be dealt with quickly. because of where it is. It's very near your brain stem in your spinal cord. You know, if it's left there much longer, it could either permanently paralyze you, or it could in fact kill you. I said, right, okay, let's get this dealt with then. So I was very, very fortunate. This is all NHS, you know, healthcare. And in the January of 2019, I had my surgery done at Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge. And the surgeon said to me, you know, there are risks, obviously, but you've got to have it done. So there was no way out. I couldn't think, oh, well, it's not worth that risk. I won't have it done. It was something I had to have done. And he said, it is serious and it will be severe and there are risks, but, you know, hopefully you'll be okay. And he gave me, I can't remember, it was something like there's a 30% chance you could be paralyzed. We don't know how long that would be for, whether it be permanent or temporary. And so he was giving me these figures and I thought, well, he's just saying all of this because he's got to cover himself, you know, in case. And I thought, well, that's okay. Because again, because I've always had good health and been fit and clean and everything, I've never worried about things like it. It literally didn't occur to me that anything bad would happen. I thought the operation will happen, I'll be back to normal again, playing tennis, running around with a dog, da-di-da. And then, of course, the surgery happened. It was supposed to be a 6-hour operation, and I think it lasted 9 or 10. Anyway, I had a nice sleep, so it didn't matter to me. My wife was in bits, of course. But afterwards, when I eventually came round, I was completely paralyzed, completely dead from sort of here down, to the point, I just did. I've had a numb arm and a numb hand and a numb leg like other people have had when you lie funny, but it was beyond that. It was utterly dead. I could have stuck a knife in myself there, not felt a thing. And it was horrifying, basically. And so I was in hospital for several weeks and on a lot of painkillers, obviously, and morphine and everything. I eventually made it back home. I was released to come back home. At this point, I still couldn't walk or stand or do anything. My legs were still utterly dead.
Did you come home in a wheelchair?
Yes. My wife unceremoniously bundled me into a wheelchair, and I think I kind of tried to argue the point at the time, because we'd had discussions before the surgery, and I said, oh, I'm not going to be in a wheelchair, I'm not doing it, you know, that usual man thing. And anyway, so to get me home, I had to get in a wheelchair to the car and then out the other end. So that was okay. But I laid in bed, basically. I couldn't move. My wife had to nurse me, take me to the bathroom and do everything for me. I literally couldn't move. I couldn't even get myself up in bed, you know, push myself up to make myself comfortable on the cushions, because the surgery obviously had cut through my muscles at the top of my back, and they'd taken, I think they took vertebrae out to get to the spinal cord, and that's how they do the surgery. So the pain, the physical pain from the surgery was, I mean, I could barely move my arms. Even that was killing me. So I was really incapacitated for several weeks, running to months. But slowly, I started to get a bit of sensation back, and I had a physio come round, and slowly but surely sensations were returning, thank whoever. But with the return of the sensation came the return of the pain. And it wasn't just this armpit now, it was also mirrored in this armpit.
Right. So just to be clear, you had the surgery for the original pain, which was in the armpit.
Yeah.
Went away, and then it actually came back. And not only did it come back in the original spot, it went to the other armpit as well.
Yeah, it doubled up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God.
They took the tumor out, which should have solved the problem.
Yeah. Now, in the defense of the medical world, if you like, the tumor, where it had sat in my spinal cord, had caused a sac of fluid, like a buildup of fluid, because it was creating like a dam. Yeah. And this little sac of fluid called a syrinx, that's what was bulging out and causing the pain. Apparently, that's what was upsetting my nerves. Now, there was a conversation along the lines of, look, we've removed the tumor, but the syrinx is still in there because it's a sac of your own spinal fluid, but that should break down over time. Okay, so we've left that alone. Your surgery was long enough as it was and complicated as it was, just removing the tumor. So we've left the sac, that will break down, and then you'll be back to normal kind of thing. So I was a little bit unsure whether I still had a physical issue, i.e. the little sac was still there and taking longer to break down than they'd hoped, or not. I didn't know. All I knew was, as you've just clarified, I had surgery because I had this thing threatening me and causing me pain. And then post-surgery, not only was I dead from the chest down, but the pain had come back twice as bad. And it was like, oh, sweet baby Jesus. It was a nightmare. For me, I mean, you know, lots of your viewers and listeners to your channel will be in exactly the same boat that a lot of us have been in, and certainly the one that I've been in. It's a very isolating and dark, just hell. I felt like I was in hell because, you know, friends and family, I didn't see anyone for ages. I didn't want to see anyone. I was so scared, depressed, angry. I didn't want any visitors, but our closest friends obviously popped round, and my parents and whatnot. And they used to say, oh, well, you know, at least you're still here, and, you know, be grateful you're still here. And of course, it's all said with the best of love and intentions. But what I really felt and what I wanted to say was, actually, I didn't survive that. The person you knew, he's fucking dead. He died there. I'm not him. I can't run around. I'm not going to be playing in a band again. I used to be the front man of a couple of bands, sort of covers groups and do my own stuff. I'm not going to be playing in tennis tournaments. I'm not going to be running around with my dog on the beach or wrestling with my sons who are now bigger than me. You know, that person that used to play sport for fun and, importantly, for me to let off steam, it's gone. I can't do that anymore. I'm angry. I'm miserable. I'm upset. I mean, anywhere between those pointers, basically, on a miserable scale. And, you know, before this, I was normally quite my wife may argue, but I'm fairly easygoing, certainly light-hearted, and I used to enjoy life. We were socially very active. I mean, I was involved in bands. We used to go and watch a lot of bands. We were drinking and partying, pubs and clubs, and, you know, we had a really good, lively social life. And then, boom, gone. Yeah. And yeah, it was awful. It was awful, really.
So you had the surgery. Yeah, you had the surgery and you started getting recovery. Then this bilateral armpit pain came back. How long was that after that surgery?
I would say that when we're talking months, a very gradual and slow process with the sensations returning, as did the pain. And it started off very sporadically, and it wasn't even that bad. And like I say, they were like flashes of like 10 or 20-second bolts of like, really bad, painful. But of course, what I ended up doing, which again is very common with chronic pain sufferers, is avoidance. So I thought anything that's likely to set off this pain now in both sides, I will avoid. So wearing a seatbelt, that used to set it off because it'd rub there. Won't wear a seatbelt. I used to have to clip it behind, still put it on because obviously the car ping, ping, ping all down the road. So I'd clip it in behind me, and it got to the point, it was so bad, I stopped wearing clothes on my top half. I couldn't bear to have a t-shirt, even the thinnest of little linen shirts or a vest. I tried all sorts. I had t-shirts with where I cut out the sleeves there. No, that's no good. Maybe I'd need to cut down further. That'll help it.
Right.
And it was crazy. And it got to the
time
point,
I saw you, the first time I met you,
yeah.
just to give the listeners, I get on my Zoom call and I see this guy in front of me. He's not wearing a shirt, and I go, "Oh man, it must be like really hot where he's at." And I had no idea. I was like, "What's this guy doing? Why does he have a shirt on?"
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was it.
I mean, it was hot because I happened to be in Sicily, didn't I? So it was quite hot.
It was hot,
I could
but it
have been in
wasn't
the
that hot.
Antarctic, Jim. You know, I could have been on a snow cap and still not been able to wear a top.
Right.
It was agonizing. And unfortunately, I did that avoidance thing for about 2 years. I mean, this is 2019 now. And it was only, you know, that my life was bad, really. Our lives were bad for 2 years. I didn't do anything without having to remove my top. On the very, very rare occasions we did go out, I would always put in control points, and I'd say to my wife, look, if my pain flares up, we're going to have to go. We'll just have one drink and then we need to leave, okay? And then I'm going to have a vest with me in the car, and I'll go in a shirt because obviously it's a bit weird going out of an evening without a top on, although all our friends understood where we were. Yeah. And of course they were very kind and lovely about it, but you still feel weird and conscious about it. Sure. I couldn't help her going to the shops or going to the markets. I couldn't help her doing certain things in the house. I mean, physically, obviously I was still paralyzed anyway, so my mobility was still quite poor. But it socially and mentally was the big impact, because I say, for us as a pair and as a partnership, and as a couple, we were big socializers. We liked meeting people and going out and enjoying ourselves and doing the usual stuff that people do. And that was really put on hold for 2 years. So not only was that a big impact on us as a couple and me mentally, because I started to feel guilty. Yeah. Because, you know, my wife didn't ever want to go out without me, bless her. Probably more out of misplaced loyalty than anything else. I'm sure she could have done with the odd night out without me. But she was very sweet. She said, I don't want to go out without you. It's not as much fun without you, and I want to be with you. And it was horrible. Yeah. Horrible.
Yeah, but that's why when I first saw you, that's where you were at it. You had weren't wearing anything, like you said, very avoiding as much as you could basically at that point, and minimizing the time you had to put on a shirt or go out. Yeah.
I would only put a shirt on if I really, really had to. If Sarah was really on my case, come on, we haven't been out, you haven't made the effort, come on, let's really try and do it. And she was doing all the right things. But of course, sometimes I'd get a bit cross and snappy and say, you know what, you've no idea, how dare you, blah, blah, you know. And in fact, you know, maybe a year after the surgery, she did in fact say to me, and I can't remember the words she used, but it was the words to the effect of, you sure it's just not in your mind? Your mind's not doing this. And oh my gosh, I lost my stuff completely. I mean, I was really offended by that. As we all are.
As we all are. Yeah.
You don't want to hear that, do you? You don't want to hear that your own brain and your own mind is causing you that pain. It's like, well, where's the logic in that?
Yeah, what are you, crazy?
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, I really lost my rag with her.
Yeah.
And yet, there you go. All along, she was right.
So maybe Yeah, let the listeners know. So that was like you're at that point, and what at that point, so how did you come across the mind, I guess you would say, in this, because your wife had alluded that to you.
Yeah, well, we're lucky. We have a seasonal kind of business and lifestyle. So we as a rule of thumb, we spend the summertime and spring and the nicer weather here in the UK for 6 months, 7 months here, and then we go off to Sicily for the winter. So it's still a nice temperature. And I was slowly getting more and more mobile. We've got some olive trees and things over there, and so I was able to keep myself occupied. And I was listening to a lot of podcasts and things on headphones while I'm out there doing stuff. I was having Zoom calls with the London Hospital of Pain because I was down on the list to have a neurostimulator. Obviously, I kept them in the loop with my pain and everything, kept them up to date with what was happening and my progress, my physical progress. And I was on the list for a neurostimulator, and we used to have these group chats with other chronic pain sufferers. And that was around Christmas of 2020, so during lockdown. And we were still stuck over in Sicily. We couldn't get back for Christmas or New Year or anything. So I was kind of like stuck over there, still very, very fed up. And look, on paper, I was locked down in a beautiful place. I had no worries, really, had no responsibilities, didn't have to work because we'd done all our work in the summer. I should have been the happiest guy on the planet. And I wasn't. I was miserable. I was fed up. Very not a happy bunny. And so anyway, we were having these weekly group Zooms with other chronic pain sufferers, with the London Pain Hospital guys. And after each meeting, they would send out some PDFs, some little attachments of stuff to read, stuff to look at. Oh, listen to this link, or go on YouTube and watch this thing, da-di-da. And most of it I looked at, and it wasn't really anything that I didn't know or understand already. But amongst this stuff, after the last meeting, was a link to a Lorimer Moseley YouTube video. And I watched his presentation, and it was the one about the nail through the boot kind of thing, and about the brain creating the pain. And I thought, oh, blimey, that's okay. And then I probably had a flashback of what Sarah had said to me. Are you sure it's not your mind? I thought, well, okay, maybe this is something I need to look into. Because, I had 2 years of not wearing any clothes, not socializing, not playing any sport, not having my life, basically. I was, it was a lifeless existence. And I'd had all the pills, nortriptyline, gabapentin, pregabalin, Oromorph, everything. I'd had all kinds of, I've had, oh gosh, I'm still on the pills, so my brain's still a bit fuzzy sometimes. Acupuncture.
Yeah.
I'd had traditional Chinese acupuncture. I'd had sports therapist acupuncture. I'd had massage, chiropractors, osteopaths, you name it, people doing things like Reiki over the head, you name it, I tried it. Hypnotherapy, I tried 3 different hypnotherapists. So I tried everything. So by the time this is all happening and I'm looking, and it's Christmas 2 years later, I was a pretty desperate state, really, because I was starting to have the thoughts where not I wouldn't say I was having suicidal thoughts, but I was questioning, if this doesn't get any better, then if this is going to be my quality of life, I'm not sure I want to do this much longer, So I wasn't saying, right, I'm going to go and find the nearest tree, and I wasn't there yet, but I was starting to have those thoughts. I thought, it's not fair on my wife. She certainly didn't sign up for this. And frankly, I'm fed up with it. It's been 2 years. And, it starts really chipping away at the mind, as I'm sure all your listeners and you know.
Yeah.
And so I was really quite desperate, really. And I tried, as I said, I tried medicine. I was on the list for the neurostimulator thing, the implant to be put into my spine. And I thought, well, maybe I should be looking into this then. What is this he's talking about? And the name John Sarno kept coming up. And I thought, oh, okay, well, he's clearly an important figure in all of this. And then I got to know the term TMS. And I read 2 of John Sarno's books. And it really, really clicked with me. I mean, in a massive way. And I thought, my gosh, this is what my wife said 2 years ago, or like 18 months ago. This is my mind creating this pain because it thinks it's trying to protect me or warn me. I wasn't quite sure at that point why it was doing it. And I felt a little bit, no, but why? I don't understand why it would be doing it. And of course, there are, within the realms of TMS, there are different views still within it, aren't there? It could be trauma, could be childhood trauma, maybe journaling helps, maybe somatic tracking helps, da-di-da-di-da. But I think just having that knowledge, that little nugget of like, okay, this probably isn't a structural issue. You know, this is a plastic pain, neuroplastic, and that kind of set me free to go down that road, not set me free in pain.
Right.
But I would say, so, you know, to put it in a nutshell, I'd had 2 years of loads of pills and not really achieving anything, not really helping. All they did was make me feel like a zombie most of the time, and still having the agonizing pain, to then finding out and reading the first couple of John Sarno books. I had them on audio as well, so I could listen to them while I was out sort of milling around in the trees and whatnot. And within, I would say, 8 to 10 weeks, it was life-changing beyond, it was like a religious experience.
Yeah.
Honestly, I felt like, I mean, I'm not a religious person, but I felt like I'd been touched by God or something special. It was so impactful and so huge. So in 8 to 10 weeks, my pain, I would say, halved, like that. But at the same time, I was pushing my luck because I like to get on with things if I can. And at the same time, I reduced my pills as well.
Yeah, amazing. And that's the thing about that, reading books. And I always tell this to people, you talk about a shift in your brain. I mean, you're literally just sitting there looking at a piece of paper or listening to it in your mind.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything. So it can literally cause that brain to shift like it did for you. And for some people it does, not for everybody.
It was, I almost felt the switch flick inside. It was that immediate.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, I still get blown away by it now. And I talk to other people about it, people I know, obviously. And, you know, as I'm saying it, I'm thinking, gosh, if this was me listening to this conversation, like before this happened, I think this guy's a flipping lunatic. And talk, but, you know, because it's such a ridiculous thing. And actually, I felt a bit embarrassed about the concept and not buying in, still not really being able to buy into the concept of it. So what I had to do for my own measure so that I could keep with it, this is really embarrassing. I don't know why I've just started, but I've started, so I'll finish. I kind of told myself I'm doing like, I'm doing my own like Jedi mind training. So that's how I did it. I thought, right, sod it. I'm just going to take this on board as if I'm going to Jedi school and I'm trying to move people around and flip things across the room. This is my version of it. I'm getting Jedi mind tricks and
I like
mind.
that. I'm going to use that. That's a great way to look at it. You're becoming a Jedi
Well, it
warrior.
works because I still found it a bit, some of it a bit hippy, trippy, dippy, and I thought I don't buy into all of it. But having said that, most of it seems to work.
Right. I mean, obviously, I've been beating that drum that there's real science behind it now that maybe Sarno didn't have, but now we 100% have the science to support it.
Yeah. I mean, I was, having read now quite a lot on TMS and the mind body. I was your A-class typical candidate for TMS. I mean, I think now, in hindsight, I think it was brought on by what I would call PTSD. The whole thing was traumatizing to the point of I felt I had died. For a long time, and again, this sounds odd now saying it in the cold light of day, but for a long time I was convinced I was actually dead and I died in surgery and I was now in a hell, because that's how it was to me. Because if you'd have said to me 5 years ago, Dan, what's your idea of hell? I would have it would have been my life. I mean, I'm trying not to over dramatize it here and sound like a complete maniac, but to not socialize and see my friends, to not be happy and loving and cuddly. Oh, that was the other thing. My wife couldn't come anywhere near me.
Right.
No cuddles, no affection, no intimacy, nothing. Anytime she came anywhere near me, agony.
Well, agony. So maybe share with the listeners here, or viewers, like if she was to touch you, what did that feel like to you?
Oh, it was awful. And this sounds a bit this sounds a bit dodgy, but we had a bit of a rule. If she wanted to cuddle me, she had to cuddle me from the waist below.
Yeah.
So had its benefits. But as a rule of thumb, it's not great, is it? No, she couldn't really come anywhere near here. My shoulders, underarms, chest, top of my back. It was agony. But and it got to the point, and this I think everyone on this TMS journey discovery, I think everyone has a light bulb moment where I think they deep down then think, oh, actually, this is TMS. Okay, because I think most of us harbor a bit of doubt throughout a lot of the journey. My light bulb moment on this was, we were on the sofa, I think one night watching TV or whatever and just chilling. And we've got like a corner sofa. So I'm kind of lying sort of here and slouching, she's there. And she moved a cushion to come up and put her head here, as she would do normally. And just as she was approaching, the pain, because I knew it was coming in. Yeah. So before she'd even touched me, she was inches still away from me. Before she'd even touched me, I can't tell you the pain. Right. And it was absolutely agonizing. Like
great, you caught that, because that is a huge piece of evidence, the anticipatory response of the brain before she even put her
before she even touched me.
Right.
My brain was flicking on the pain. Oh no, keep that away. And I was like, I mean, obviously I was so absorbed and consumed with the pain, I didn't there and then think, but like the next day or something, I thought, that's mad. She wasn't even touching me, and that set the pain off. Right.
Those are the pieces of evidence that people need to get, right? Because it gives you that, erases some of your doubt, right? And it gives you, you go, wait a second. Right. So that was great awareness you had to even see that at the moment.
Yeah, and I started getting other little indicators. And once I started looking for them, I started getting other little bits of evidence, gathering them together and thinking, well, that doesn't even make sense. I mean, I think I told you of one when I was out in Sicily. I was just walking around the Grove, and I think I was having a reasonably nice afternoon. The pain wasn't, I mean, obviously I didn't have a shirt on, but you know, as days went, that was not a bad day, and I was having quite a pleasant afternoon. And I think I was walking to the far end of the Grove, and I was walking along thinking, oh, actually, the pain had, I mean, it's been there, the pain was there, but it's not, I hadn't had any real big thunderbolts and real agonizing shots. And as I was thinking that, it felt like my calf had been sawn in half by a sharp, blunt knife on fire. And the pain was ridiculous. And I was like, what the hell is, what? My calf felt like I just ripped it in half playing tennis or something. I was like, oh my gosh. And that was a real, I thought, my gosh, you cheeky bloody bastard.
Well, it's good that you have the
Just as
knowledge
I was
to
telling
recognize that,
myself,
right? You
yeah,
caught that, the symptom imperative taking place
yes,
in right when it was happening. So that was, again, your ability to, at that point, because like you said, if you don't know this stuff, you're thinking, holy shit, what did I do to my calf?
yeah, exactly. And you know, I used to play a lot of tennis and a lot of football. My legs have always been good and fit and strong. I've never torn any muscles, never done anything. So how the heck can I injure my calf just walking across a grove? And it's purely because I was thinking, oh, lucky me, I'm getting better. I'm like, no, you're not. Have some of that.
Well, that's that brain. It's like we have this logical mind that says, yeah. And then we have this other, that limbic brain, as you know, that's not ready to relinquish and think that you're okay. And it's really, actually, I want people to know that the reason it's doing that is not to punish us. It's actually trying to protect us because it still believed that you were under some danger or threat. And it wasn't ready to say, you know what, Dan, you're fine. I'm going to let this go.
Yeah. For a long time in this process, so this year, since I've been sort of working on TMS kind of stuff, for the first part of the journey, I was still quite angry and resentful of getting these messages from my brain.
Sure.
As much as I tried not to be, and I knew it was the wrong thing to be doing because it said so in the books, I still felt really quite angry about it all. And I thought, well, come on, some people just read the book and then they're done, you know, and it's like, hey, I'm cured. That's nice and easy. And obviously it's horses for courses, and people repair at different rates and recover at different times and deal with it differently, and they've got their different issues. But I think I've learned that I think my TMS is definitely personality. I mean, I had this huge thing happen to me, and that's no doubt that's what kicked it all off. No doubt about that at all. However, I think there were underlying, like peeling back the layers of an onion. There's more and more, and the more you peel off, the more it's kind of stinging your eyes. And you know, I certainly had the personality traits. I've always been very particular, very driven, very stubborn. I like it my way and not your way. Thank you very much. If you're going to do it once, do it the best you can. Yeah, a bit of a control. I like to be in control. And also when I was a younger child, I had a terrible stammer. Heaven knows why. I don't know. I could think of reasons, but anyway, we won't go into that. But I had a terrible stammer. And therefore, at a very young age, the way I kind of got over it was I would plan out what I was going to say, almost visualize it like scrolling across the screen. And I would think about what I was going to say. Then I'd think about the two most likely responses, and then what I would say in response to those two responses. So my rumination and my overthinking was off the scale, and it always has been. And I still do that now. I mean, I can now have a conversation, say, with my mum, and I think I've already had the conversation, and I will swear blind. Mum,
you've had it in your head, probably.
I've had it in my blimmin' head.
But that's because the amount of stress that's going into your system, especially if it's a conversation that's not pleasant, right? Yeah. And so you recognize, and we had talked about this during some of our sessions, some of these different stressors, right, in your personalities, other things that happened to you in your life that are all little hits to your nervous system. The big one being what happened to you, that big trauma. But yeah, your ability to recognize and kind of like peel away the onion, like you said, you started seeing more and more about yourself.
Yeah. And you know, again, I've got to be honest with myself. It's not all good. Sometimes I've not been a very nice person. I try and be, and I'm sure my mum loves me. But I have traits that I know. I'm a Marmite person. I know that people either really love me because I'm quite creative as well, so I've got that side to me, and I like to think I'm quite amusing, not all the time, and I'm full of beans. But I know I do rub a lot of people up the wrong way, and they just think, oh God, look at him. And I accept that. But yeah, so my traits aren't all good. And again, that's part of the acceptance, I think, and dealing with it and understanding it and recognizing it when I'm doing it. I've had historically a lot of rage and anger issues because of things that have happened in my family. But I don't trust people easily now. I certainly don't forgive people easily or tolerate people now. If I don't like them, I'm very intolerant, not very understanding. But I'm trying to improve on that because I know that's going to make me happier. Doesn't matter about them. I was that typical, I think there's a Chinese proverb, isn't there? It's like you're running around swallowing poison and expecting them to drop down dead.
Right.
I'm that guy running around with a jug of poison while it's scalding and burning my arms.
Poisoning, literally burning your arms.
Yeah, literally.
Right.
I was him, basically. So again, that's something I've had to deal with on a personal level. I'm trying to be better with that. But the whole thing, and look, I'm still not out of pain. I still have pain most of the day. But I tell you, if you'd have, you saw me in the early days, and even then I was a lot better because when I contacted you, I think I emailed you in March, I think, of this year. Yeah. So I'd already achieved so much reduction in pain and in my meds, and I was getting an understanding, obviously, of TMS, and that's when because it's like this new, as I said, it's like a new religion. You found a God almost. And you think, oh my God, I can't get enough of this. I'm going to listen to podcasts. I'm going to try her podcast. I'm going to try his videos on YouTube. I'm going to read this book. And you're gorging yourself. And I suppose you can get a bit probably too. And again, I think that was flipping off my hypervigilance again, because I'd had such success. I was then more aware of like, oh, is it good? Is it bad? Oh, it's better today. Oh, that's brilliant. And then like, oh no, it's really bad again. And it's that sort of hypervigilance, constantly scanning myself, constantly waiting for a kick in, constantly trying to predict what was going to be a bad evening or a bad day based on one episode.
Right.
But, when I contacted you, I think I'd made such a lot of progress, but I think it was starting to plateau out.
Yeah.
And I'd watched and I still watch it most days, your somatic tracking part 2 video. That really does a good job for me. Still now every time.
It's not just for the people watching, because I'm sure a lot of people watch it, is that my wife makes a cameo in that video that you all know. You may have heard her banging in the background.
Banging around with a box.
I tell her, I said, hey, you're on this video. I said, why the heck did you have to do that? But now I laugh about it. I go, that's part of the process, is being able to handle not just peaceful times. But
I've got to be honest. The first few times I was like, oh my gosh, who the hell is that in the background? Come on, shut the door at least.
It was almost like it was meant to be, because I've had people say, can you redo that video? I go, no, that's life. Like as you're learning to calm your system, you've got to handle it during times of noise or stimulation or sensitization.
And now when I hear her clattering around, I almost smile and think, oh, that's quite cool now. It doesn't aggravate me anymore, or doesn't kind of distract me.
Right.
It's quite interesting. So I was, watching your YouTube videos a lot, worked through the whole of your entire collection. And I found the somatic tracking really helped. And as I say, my progress seemed to have plateaued by my standards. And I felt like I needed an actual interaction I didn't want to read anymore, or not that I didn't want to. I was still going to carry on reading and listening and watching, but I felt I did need that connection and interaction with someone. And of all the videos and podcasts and things I listen to, for some reason, your voice reacts better to my brain. Simple as that, because we both know there's lots of people out there sharing this amazing information, and giving up their time like you do to do these things and do this work, and it's amazing. But you've got to connect with the right person, haven't you?
The connection,
really, and that's it.
That's right.
So I think, and then, well, we've been in touch since March, haven't we? And it's now, where are we now? Nearly October. So 6 months.
And that's good to make a point too, because some people I talk to, they want an instant result. And this has been a journey for you for a long time. And this was like another piece of the puzzle when we started working together. But that has been 6 months since we first talked, like you said.
Yeah. 6 months. The way I view it is, as I said earlier, I like to get things done, and normally I like to crack on with things, and normally I would be very, very frustrated in this situation. However, I'm now more educated and wise to TMS and how it all works, and I know it's can be a long process. And you know what? I'm in no rush anymore, because I've got that understanding of when it comes, it comes, when it goes, it goes.
Yeah,
doesn't matter. And I know that's weakening its grip on me, by not giving it that much attention, by not diarising every time I have it.
And really what you're doing is not putting pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
That's massive.
Yeah. Hugely. Because I was when I first got that, as I say, that really huge success over those first 8 or 10 weeks, I thought, wow, if I've done this in 8 weeks, then by the time the summer comes, I'm going to be cured. This is going to be amazing.
Right. And then it didn't. And then, like you said, then you got frustrated and angry again. So it's a process of working through. Yeah. Then it ramps up. So, so just share maybe with the viewers what we did, or what you did, but at least with the sensory part of wearing shirts again, and how you went through that process.
Yeah, well, you suggested that, obviously stating the obvious, it's not normal to walk around topless all the time, Dan, and maybe you should start getting used to that first. And so I started just wearing a top for an hour a day, maybe in the morning, and then another hour in the afternoon, then maybe an hour. So sort of just doing it in little piecemeal. And I think you brought my attention to the visualization practices as well. Just imagine what it's like to at the time I was still suffering from it's still quite bad, although I'd had success. It was still, I would still be able to sit on the sofa, and if I thought about putting a t-shirt on, that would set off the pain. If I thought about getting in the shower and the shower hitting me there, that would set off. So again, it still had a good firm grip on me, but it was easing up, and it was allowing me time to regroup and gather my thoughts and my understanding about it.
And what were you saying? It's important for people to know that, you were putting the shirt on for more time, but you're also infusing your brain with messages during that time to help cope with that.
Positive messages. And just, it's tiring, isn't it? Because it's a 24/7 every minute of the day job. It has been for me. I'm continually, and I don't think this is the part that maybe certainly other normal people that don't have chronic pain certainly don't understand and appreciate. And I think also maybe some chronic pain sufferers in the early stages won't appreciate how tiring it is. None of this is rocket science, but it's a very simple task, really. You're reframing your pain, you're talking to your brain in a different way, and you're sending it messages, and you're trying not to get overexcited or anxious about anything.
Right.
But it's a constant job. I'm doing it almost every couple of minutes. I'm doing it, and through the night as well. If I wake up, I haven't slept for years, really. properly through the night, but now my nights are a lot better. And now when I do wake up in the night, it's like, oh la la la, I feel really stiff, da 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 da, and I think, oh, it's okay. And then I have to tell my brain. So,
That's important, what you just said. So important, because I think people think, oh, I'm going to do it a couple times. And your story, and I hear other people's stories too, it is, you have to continually be calming that brain, because I said that limbic brain, once bitten, twice shy, it is not going to relent so easily. And like, that's a really important, that you were working really hard at this with the messaging, the calming, the soothing constantly.
Yeah. And it's exhausting. And some days you think, oh my gosh, really? Have I still got to be, but you've just got to put your nose to the grindstone and keep doing it. I mean, I've still continued to improve since we've been talking. I think from the start, we were having our Zoom calls every week, weren't we?
Yeah.
And then it went to bi-weekly, and then monthly. And now I think I last saw you 2 months ago. So even I'm still continuing along the right, path.
That's right. You continue to make progress, and
absolutely,
you've come such a long way from even when I saw you, because I got you, like you said, you'd already had some progress, but then from that point to now, like you're like, just let everybody know, what are you doing now that you weren't doing before at that point in time?
Oh, well, just huge. I mean, when I was lying in bed, unable to walk and in agonizing pain 24/7, my hopes, my dreams, it was the stuff of dreams, was to one day play tennis in some capacity, to one day maybe stand up on a stage and sing a few songs with my guys, with my band or whatever, or do an open mic. One day maybe hit a golf club again and hit a golf ball. And it was literally, it was the stuff of dreams. I was thinking, oh, please, God, let me do sort of stuff like that maybe one day, even if I'm not doing it, obviously, to the level that I was.
Yeah.
I've got to accept. I think another thing for me was I accepted, I was very angry and bitter, as I've said, and I felt like the old Dan died. Then he's gone. He's still gone. And I don't even feel like I'm getting a new one in replacement. No, I don't feel like I'm getting the old Dan back as I'm improving. What I do feel is I'm a different Dan.
That's right.
And actually, hopefully, this Dan will be better.
It's a better version of yourself. It's like you're risen from the ashes and a new person. And so just share, like, what are you doing now that you weren't doing before? You just
I'm playing golf every Wednesday morning. I just do 9 holes because my legs, I'm still fairly paralyzed. My feet are still quite dead, but I can walk around and I can do stuff now. But I don't do long distance very well because it's not that it's painful, but my legs get really fizzy and my feet are fizzing like fireworks going off. So it's not a pain, but it's a bit unpleasant and it makes me a bit more unsteady. But that's continually improving. So I'm playing golf, and I've been playing golf for a couple of months now, which is amazing. And you know what? The first time I sort of stepped onto the first tee and just saw the fairway in front of me and the green and the flag and the sea and the bright blue sky, I was tearing up because it was like, wow, I just can't believe this is happening. I can't believe I've made it here. This is just like incredible. And again, same with tennis. I mean, I won't be playing any men's singles tournaments anytime soon.
No Wimbledon next year?
Not Wimbledon next year, no. I think that ship sailed. But I play doubles fairly regularly. We go to club nights. My wife's a really good tennis player, so that's a bonus. So we can play singles against each other. And the first time I did that, I was playing on grass up at our tennis club here in Felixstowe, and it was like, wow, I'm just like the luckiest person.
Yeah,
it was real. I get emotional about it now, just talking about it. This is years later.
Of course.
It was huge. I can't. It's all about the oh God, what an obvious thing to say. It's all about the mental game. All about it. The whole thing. All about the mental game. You've got to be strong and you've got to be determined. And you know what? You don't even have to be that strong. You just have to stick with it.
Yeah, that's the process. And even Alan Gordon, he talks about in his book, The Process, which is stay with it. I see a lot of people giving up too soon. And you
Yeah,
got to understand neuroplasticity. It takes a long time. Like it's like you're learning a new language, a new
yeah,
you. And that is, and it's, it's not easy to do. Just like, hey, if I said we want you to speak German, or maybe you speak German, but if you were to say, I'm going to learn German, it's going to take you a long time to learn that language.
yeah, yeah.
Potentially.
It's huge. And you're right. It is like learning. It's like a whole different mindset and like another language. And you're having to continue to reassure your brain and your mind all the time, all day and all night, and just do things differently, because none of us would do this normally out of choice. It's exhausting.
Right.
But at the end of the day, what's the alternative? If
What's
you
the
want to
alternative?
improve,
Yeah, that's right.
got to
And maybe
improve
talk too
yourself.
about how one last thing you've done, you said, we talked about how teaching to relax your body and how many times you have to do that during the day too.
Oh, loads. I listened to you very kindly sent me a little audio of a relaxation meditation, sort of an 8-minute long one. I listen to that every morning before I even get out of bed. So that's my routine.
Good way to start the day.
I will then do either your YouTube somatic tracking or another relaxation. When we've talked in the past, I've recorded bits, as you know, and cut them down and put them onto my phone. I probably listen to those, probably four of them a day, I would say. And I try not to listen to the same one more than once a day. So they're 4 different recordings I have. They're all on my phone, safely stored away, so I know I don't need a phone signal.
Don't lose your phone. I had a patient once. She reached out to me frantically. She says, "I lost your audio. I listen to it every day." I go, "Oh no, where'd it go?" Actually, I can't find it. I go, all right, settle down. We'll make it.
Yeah,
We'll get you another one. But you've done it also during the day, which I can't say enough about, where you like you do these relaxations, but you're it's like taking yoga off the mat, right? You're taking it during your day and catching yourself when you're tensing up.
I try to, because I know when it's going to get gnarly and angry, and I try to hit it off at the pass, kind of thing. But to various levels of success, some days are still better than others. But I accept it, and I certainly get less anxious about it, because I now understand my path isn't going to be a straightforward, quick path. It's going to have a few diversions and bumps and lumps.
Right.
And I'm okay with that now. And therefore, because I don't have the anxiety and I don't have these huge expectations of like, oh, I want to be done by Christmas. Therefore, that's taken the anger and the bitterness out of it. It's completely taken that away. And that's a huge fueling thing, isn't it? Fanning the flames, getting angry and bitter about it, and resentment.
All pouring gasoline on your system. Anger and anxiety, both those things.
Yeah. I mean, I was, for the 2 years, I was a very angry, upset, miserable guy. And, once you realize that all that's doing is making it worse, and it seems so bloody obvious now. Well, of course it's going to make you worse. All that negativity charging around your body, of course it's going to make it bloody worse. It all seems so obvious and so simple. But as I said earlier, you just got to stick with the game plan, and little by little, you'll make little bits of improvement. And I've also thought about, if I improve, I don't know, even 1%. I mean, I'm now at the point where I'm on 1/3 of the meds I was in January.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this winter, hopefully, to knock them on the head completely and further reduce my pain. Right. That's my plan. I'm not striving to be pain-free, because I'm not even sure that matters particularly. I've been in pain so long.
Pain-free, the more likely you are going to be pain-free.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think if I keep concentrating and focus on it too much, I'm still giving it a little bit of fuel.
That's right.
So my plan for this winter is dial it all down further. Hopefully knock the pills on the head completely, because they still as I've told you, they still make my head fuzzy, and I don't feel like I'm the same person in that regard. I used to think that I had quite again, my wife and children may differ. I was quite sharp and quick, and I'm not now. It's quite fuzzy, and there are things now, even at the home, if we've got a query with a utility bill or something, and I think it's going to be a bit involved, normally I'd be all over that, and like, no, I'll deal with that, I'll deal with them, I'll go and sort them out. Now it's like, actually, can you do this? I don't think I'll be able to process it quick enough.
Yeah, that'll clear out.
So I still, you know, there are still frustrations, but sure. I keep them realistic, and I keep them on the down low now. And it's not, you know, I'm not beating myself up anymore about anything. You know, it's all good progress. And I figure if I improve another 1% a week or a month, even, you know, it's still going in the right way, isn't it?
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's amazing. And that your story is just truly amazing because of where you came from. I mean, you know, coming from basically coming on a wheelchair, couldn't even walk or do anything, and now you're back golfing and playing tennis and wearing your shirts all day, and
yeah,
it shows you it can be done. That's why I really wanted to talk to you, because your story is just so powerful.
Yeah, I mean, if I was to think back, you know, this time last year, the thought of sitting here with you for however long we've been talking, me here with a shirt on, it's a little bit uncomfortable. It is sending little messages off, but nothing like it. I mean, this is the stuff of dreams. Yeah. Just being able to interact with someone without getting really grumpy and painful and irritated, and all I was thinking about was consumed with the pain and like, how quickly can I get my shirt off, please? Because this is driving me mad.
Right.
So just I mean, these simple little things, and having a shower. In the old days, having a shower was agonizing. As soon as that water hit me, boom, pain through the roof. Now I have a shower, I don't even think about pain. So yes. Although I have a little bit of pain sometimes with clothing, and not all of the time, I never have any pain in the shower anymore. Never.
That's amazing. And that's where you get so far along, where it's like when you don't think about it anymore, that's when you know you're like, I moved to the other side.
Yeah.
You move to the other side.
So I will take these levels of improvement and these little bits of success gladly, because I know it will just continue as long as I continue.
That's right. Yeah. Well, let's wrap it up here. That was just a great story. I really appreciate you, Dan, coming on and sharing it and giving some great tidbits of information to people and inspiration to other people to heal, and that they can do it too. So thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me on, Jim, because I know, again, in my dark hours at the start of this, listening to other people's recovery stories or watching things on YouTube, it just gives you that glimmer of hope. And I think, you know, that's just what somebody needs in those dark, you know, because by nature of the beast, people are looking up your YouTube channel and looking up your work because they've tried the pills and they've tried the surgery and they've tried the other hands-on stuff. And guess what? It's not working. Right. And, you know, they're coming to you and they think like, oh my gosh, please, somebody help me. And I found that listening to recovery stories, hugely helpful and inspirational, and just gave me a little bit of hope just to keep pushing on and just to keep going, you know. And that's what it's about, isn't it? Just pushing on.
Yeah. So your story is going to inspire other people to keep going. And like you said, it's a journey. It's not a race. It's a marathon more than it is a sprint. And even that, you don't even know what it's going to be. So that's the best. You took it right out of it. So every day is a new day. I'm inching forward, and that's the attitude. And so anyhow, I really appreciate you coming on again, and I'm going to share this with other people, and hopefully they feel inspired as well. And they'll put their comments there. Maybe you can chime in as well if they have any questions.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be more than happy to. If anyone's got anything specific, more specific, I'm more than happy to get on the thread and answer any questions.
Awesome.
And genuinely pleased to have the opportunity just to give something back. I feel like running up and down the street with a big flag saying, TMS, honestly, come and see me. I can sort you out. I'll get it done.
Right. I know. We all feel that way, right?
Evangelical thing. I want
Right.
to go. So this is my little bit. So if anyone gets something from this, then that's great. It's a success.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'll wrap it up here, Dan. Thanks again. And
Nice.
we'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Yeah. Catch up with you soon. Cheers,
Okay.
buddy. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.